In the dawn of ancient Greece, when marble temples gleamed under the Mediterranean sun, a child was born who would shape the way humanity thinks forever. His name was Aristotle, son of Nicomachus, the physician of the Macedonian king. From the moment he opened his eyes, knowledge was his inheritance, and curiosity his constant companion. He grew up surrounded by scrolls and instruments, not of war, but of wonder. While other children chased shadows in the streets, Aristotle studied the stars, the heartbeat of animals, and the rhythm of thought itself. He wanted not just to know, but to understand. But the peace of his childhood would not last. At 17, after the death of his parents, Aristotle journeyed to Athens, the intellectual heart of the ancient world, a city alive with debate, where every corner hummed with philosophy and politics. There he would find his destiny and his master. In the shaded courtyards of the academy, under the guidance of Plato, Aristotle's mind began to bloom. He absorbed every idea, challenged every principle. To Plato, the world was but a shadow of higher ideals. But Aristotle believed truth lived within the world, not beyond it. The student began to see differently from the master. Yet in that difference, philosophy itself evolved. The torch of thought passed silently, not by imitation, but by rebellion. From the mind of Plato to the mind of Aristotle, the world took one more step toward enlightenment. Years passed. Aristotle's intellect became undeniable, his questions unending. He studied biology, politics, ethics, logic, and poetry, not as separate disciplines, but as branches of a single, living truth. But Athens was not kind to originality. After Plato's death, the Academy no longer welcomed Aristotle's divergent views. His insistence on observing reality, of grounding philosophy in the physical world, was heresy to the followers of ideal forms. And so, Aristotle left Athens behind. He wandered east to Assos, then to Lesbos, where the sea met the mind in quiet contemplation. There he studied the smallest creatures, the way they moved, breathed, and lived. He wrote that knowledge begins with wonder, and that even the humblest insect could teach the mind about the divine order of nature. In time, fate summoned him to a new purpose. The king of Macedon, Philip II, invited him to teach his son, a boy named Alexander. The philosopher met the young prince beneath the open sky. Aristotle saw in Alexander not merely ambition, but potential, a restless intellect burning for greatness. He taught him poetry, logic, ethics, and the philosophy of ruling with reason instead of conquest. He taught him that the mind, not the sword, should guide a king. But as the boy grew, so too did his hunger. For power, for empire, for immortality. And Aristotle, who once nurtured the mind of a scholar, now watched the birth of a conqueror. In his heart, he wondered, had I taught him wisdom, or given reason to ambition? The shadow of doubt followed him, as Greece itself moved closer to the storm of empire. Years later, with Alexander's conquests echoing across the known world, Aristotle returned to Athens. But he returned not as a student, but as a master. He founded his own school, the Lyceum, where the world itself became the classroom. His students walked beside him as he spoke, observing life in motion. They called them the Peripatetics, the walking philosophers. There, Aristotle built what we now call the foundations of science and logic. He categorized plants and animals, dissected arguments and ethics, and sought patterns in everything, from the flutter of leaves to the structure of governments. He believed the universe was not chaos, but order waiting to be understood. Every morning he spoke of reason, logos, as the highest virtue of humankind. In reason, he said, lay our connection to the divine, and through reason we could govern ourselves, our societies, and our passions. But as Alexander's empire grew bloodier, the philosopher's ideals were tested. The world that surrounded him seemed ruled not by reason, but by power and greed. When news reached him of massacres committed in Alexander's name, Aristotle turned silent. He had taught a king to think, but could he teach humanity to feel? In his writings, he sought answers to the moral questions that haunted him. What is the good life? What makes a man virtuous? Can knowledge alone make us just? And through those questions, he discovered that the pursuit of truth was not only intellectual, it was moral. Wisdom to Aristotle was not to escape the world like Plato wished, but to understand it, serve it, and improve it. That belief would make his name echo through millennia. Then the tide of politics turned once more. When Alexander died, the people of Athens, who had suffered under Macedonian rule, turned their anger toward anything connected to him, and that included Aristotle. They accused him of impiety, the same charge that once condemned his master, Socrates. History, it seemed, had come full circle. But Aristotle would not suffer the same fate. He fled the city, declaring, "I will not allow the Athenians to sin twice against philosophy." He retreated to Chalcis, an island by the sea, carrying only his books and his failing health. There, as his body weakened, his mind remained sharp as ever. He wrote of love, politics, and the stars, of motion and time, of being and becoming. His last thoughts were not of regret, but of the eternal pursuit of truth. And so in 322 BC, the man who had taught kings, questioned gods, and built the pillars of logic, breathed his last. The sea whispered softly beyond his window, as if Greece itself mourned the end of its greatest thinker. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell, but Aristotle's ideas endured. His writings became the backbone of Western thought, shaping science, theology, politics, and ethics. From Thomas Aquinas to Isaac Newton, from Darwin to Einstein, his spirit lived on in every question that sought understanding. He taught us that knowledge is not a possession, it's a practice. That truth is not hidden in the heavens, but written in the heartbeat of life itself. Aristotle's genius was not that he answered every question, but that he gave humanity the tools to keep asking, to observe, to reason, to wonder, endlessly. In the end, he left behind no empire, no monument, no army. Only words. And yet, those words shaped kings, scientists, and dreamers, a legacy of the mind that no power could erase. Perhaps that is the truest form of immortality. For while empires crumble and marble fades, reason endures. And through it, the voice of Aristotle, the man who taught kings and shaped the world, still whispers to every mind brave enough to think.